So Karen, with respect to the decision-making aspects, and as well as whether we're coming up with transportation ideas and communication and the residential schedule that we've already talked about, a lot of clients will ask me, how do I intertwine what my parenting plan decisions are with respect to my child support and some of the other obligations I'm going to have financially? Mm-hmm. And so this is where I always stop and say, with respect to our video work here, that is for the viewer, there are some jurisdictions that these intertwine more significantly than in other jurisdictions. So this is a place where you want to make sure that you are getting a consultation with an attorney in your local area that can help you differentiate between whether these two are more connected or less connected. Because what we do know is that we never, in any parenting plan development, we do know that we want to keep the children out of any conflict with respect to the financial aspects of the co-parenting. So do you want to talk about that a little bit more?
I do, and I think it starts with recognizing that when you consult with an attorney about, child support versus extraordinary expenses or whatever that might be described in your jurisdiction, is that ultimately your co-parent and you have agreements about what's covered and how we're going to pay for things. That neither of us are unilaterally obligating the other for things we have not agreed to or that are not spelled out in child support that we don't understand, and as a consequence create conflict, because we go back to how destructive that chronic conflict is. Here it is for kids around money, is that it just creates shame. There's nothing kids can do about being here and needing things. And so if we're always fighting about money, it leaves our children feeling ashamed. They feel helpless. If Madeline wants to play volleyball and needs tennis shoes and we're fighting over who's going to pay for them, she can only feel guilty that she came home today and said, hey, I made the volleyball team, but I need $100 for uniform. And now her parents are fighting.
Right.
That's sad. That's not helpful. And it's on us. We actually need to do better. We need to make sure that that doesn't happen, that we've talked ahead of time and said, of course, Madeline can go out for volleyball, so that when she makes the team, we're celebratory and we're prepared to make that $100 commitment to her gear. So that's really, really crucial. Similarly, neither of us are going to be Disneyland parents with money. I'm not going to go out and say to the kids, or say to you, hey, I just got you a $600 iPhone, or whatever the case may be, and flaunt my money to you as if I'm buying you or trying to create favors with money. That's not strong co-parenting, nor is it healthy parenting, period. It's important for kids to understand the value of $1, but to use it to flaunt or gain favor with your children, not useful. And then, last but not least, ask yourself, what's driving my attitude around money with my kids? Because oftentimes it can be unresolved, old spousal things. I don't want to give you anything. So I'm going to refuse to pay for this for Mark that I know you want Mark to be able to do. And actually, it's an issue between you and I. I need to keep that parent mind in place and look and see that, wow, this would be so cool for my son to be able to do this. That's why I'm going to pay for it. And yes, I'm going to write that check to you so that that gear gets handled.
I think this also goes back to our discussion about value differences, because sometimes the root of this is not just how you handled money in the relationship, but your personal value around money. And that is, so many times I hear couples come in and one is a spender and one is a saver. One has accumulated a lot of debt. One might have issues with respect to how they don't pay their bills on time, or they're very rigid about how they are getting everything paid.
Budgeted.
So budgeted, right. So I think we also have that relationship with money individually as the parents, and we also look at what values are they trying to teach their children around money. So money gets multi-layered, actually, with respect to how we address that.
Back to good communication, strong decision-making, clarity, boundaries, co-parenting, right?
Right.
So we've talked today in this video about many of those important things. It's hard to remember. We started out with transitions. How do we move our children back and forth in a safe and secure manner that they can feel emotionally held through? We went on to talk about strong communication and the kind of provisions that we might have in a parenting plan to support clear communication. We went into decision making, those major decisions, and then we talked about some optional decisions that might be included. And we've wrapped here by talking about how does money interface with those decisions, those all-important decisions that you will be making as co-parents. So in our next video, we're going to be moving on to talk about what happens when there's changes in our family. How do we resolve conflict? We're going to talk about the other co-parenting provisions that oftentimes are included at the end of a parenting plan to remind us what our relationship is for and about, which is raising resilient, well-adjusted kids.
Excellent.